Yo, what is up? We are here at the 5-Star live stream. You know what time it is, man. We never forget about you guys. We are going hard. You know when we're going at it, we're going live today. And we've got a whole brand new topic for you guys who are looking to get involved of the world in money, finances, and keeping sure that you're up to date on your financial game. We over here at the 5-Star live stream have come to the conclusion that you guys, if you're going to be dating, if you're going to be taking care of women, and if you're going to do good in the world of money, you got to know where money comes from. So me and my boy Dantes over here have decided to give you a breakdown from the very beginning on a series that will lead you to a beautiful, happy ending with your women for the rest of your life. My boy, we're about to break down the Zeitgeist addendum. Give it to him, my boy Dantes. Let's go.
Yes, sir. We're going to give him some new heat, new topics. And this is Chris's topic he came up with. And we're going to diversify it, switch it up. We don't always have to talk about dating and girls and stuff. This is how you grow. You don't know about this. Chris is going to teach us, show us today. And, yeah, we're going to just bring you new topics, a lot of shows here and there. So we're not going to always be talking about dating and girls. And Chris is going to dive in and just break it down. If you don't know what the Zeitgeist is and more about money, we're going to talk about it.
And then right before we get into it, man, what do you think about like how the average consumer is dealing with navigating the world of money today, bro? What is the average guy going through in your eyes when it comes to just trying to level up in the world that has been handed to us post 2020?
I believe that we live in a time to where you can't shame anyone. It's okay to be a loser today. So when it's okay to be a loser and you don't have any goals, it's so easy to fall victim to the zeitgeist or what would be known as being controlled by politics, or you want to talk about sports all day. So I believe it really comes down to like having a goal or just something that's going to keep you aligned and just not get distracted with everyday life. Because if you don't have a goal, because most people are kind of just floating through life with they're going with the wind. And then at that point, they're getting caught up in celebrity stuff. They're getting caught up in politics, really stuff that doesn't benefit their life, but it's all a distraction. And then next thing you know, you look up, you're 60, 50, and all you care about is like the football game that comes on Sunday night, or you talk about politics all day, and you don't get anywhere by yourself. So, yeah. What
you just said is actually my first bullet point that I'm going to be getting into here in a moment, but that is true, man. They really gave us a world that is rigged, rigged in terms of political systems, rigged in terms of regimes changing, rigged in terms of people not necessarily knowing what to do in an inflated economy. And when the system is overloaded, when your tasks almost damn near make no sense and it becomes too hard, it is in human nature to go with what is more easy than is what is difficult, causing you to easily get distracted by things that do not matter to you at all. And when you're getting caught up with things that don't matter, the time keeps on ticking, your life keeps on moving, the sun and the moon are still rotating around the earth, and you have got to decide how you are going to spend your time. And we pray over here at the 5-Star live stream that you are spending your time wisely. And that's why we decided to get into the Zeitgeist addendum today. If you guys don't know about the Zeitgeist addendum, you need to look at it. And if you want to watch it, I've been able to find those videos on Rumble. Shout out to Rumble. Me and Tez have been on Rumble for the entire broadcast of the 5-Star live stream. I myself got a chance to be on Rumble long before today. It's been years since I've been using it, and I actually got a chance to use it before some of my favorite streamers and podcasters were on it. And now it's all come full circle, and we're here speaking in a place where we can have free speech and say what we want to say. Speak wisely, my people. Now, the reason that we thought over here at the 5-Star live stream it would be important to bring up the Zeitgeist addendum is that we want you guys to become very strong in diversifying your assets. No dating without money being involved. There is no understanding how you're going to set a goal or being with your women or doing something like driving a car or even going to work without having money operating all that you do. But if you have no understanding of the core mechanics of money, we brought it to you right here first. And we're going to be breaking it down foundationally the best that we can to give you guys a modern understanding of how to navigate monetary and economical systems, especially if you're an American, how much more easy that would be for you. But this does apply to everybody all over the world. Finances are a universal instrument of control, doom, treachery, and slavery if used wrong. But if used wisely, can be used to give an inheritance to your future, which is a beautiful tenement and also a Christian tenement to have. That being said, this is going to be a hardcore one, and it's going to be a long one, and it's going to be a wise one. So as I transition into the topics that we have here today, producibility, if you do not mind, keep us on camera A, and I am going to need me a brewing hot cup of cold brew coffee. That being said, before I get into the bullet points here, you guys see I brought out the bigger book today. Normally you see me on the smaller notebook, but I had to prepare this for y'all because this is not to be trifled with. My guy, what do you think about what we're talking about here and bringing to the people?
I think it's really good, bro. It's good, bro. And I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not going to talk about I'm not going to advise people on their, I'm not a financial advisor. Just want to put that disclosure out there. But yeah, it's good. People need I research fractional reserve banking, and it's good to know, because, bro, this shit will have you pissed off. You look up, fractional reserve banking, and you put your money in the bank, and they're using your money to make money. You're just getting, P-I-M-P, and it's good to know about this stuff, so that way it's reading about fractional reserve banking makes me not want to have any money in the bank, and it makes me want to just invest everything. And because if you don't do that, then they're just going to invest your money for you. And then it's they're just making money off of your money. Imagine that you just worked 70, 80 hours a week to go make however much money. You leave it in the bank, and then it sits there, and then your bank goes and loans that money to someone else. They're making interest off of your money. So you're working to put your money in the bank, and then they're going to take your money and make money off of your money, but your money just stays the same. And they give you 5%, or they'll give you 5%. So you'll get a penny of interest that month because they just went and loaned your money for 15, 20% interest on a personal loan or a car loan or whatever investment, and you get a penny off of it a month. So it's crazy. It'll have you pissed off wanting to just not have any money in the bank and invest your money. And yeah, bro, it's good to know about this because the moment I started reading this, bro, I'm I want to invest everything, bro. I don't want my money sitting in a bank account because they're just going to use my money so it'll work for them and not me. So it's just good to see this shit in writing because that shit will have you furious, bro. I'm fuck.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to put this in terms for all of my average guys listening. We're not overcomplicating this. We are making this as simple for you as we possibly can. Let me give you some relatable language up in this biatch. Let's rewind a couple years back. We have Andrew Tate sitting down in the Fresh and Fit podcast, and he's talking about a story on which he says, oh, man, the first thing I needed to do to make money was go lock myself in a room. And I locked myself in the room until I understood what money was. And the first thing that I come to understood is that there was no money. There is no money. And not only is there no money, but I don't have any of it, and I need all of it in order to get myself rich and free and move. What you guys might not have understood is that in a conversation like that with people like him or people who are in the financial sector or people who really understand these things, is that the prerequisite or the thing that he would have known or that we all know before that is found in the Zeitgeist Addendum. Now, let me tell you why this is super important to me and super shocking, right? In the modern day, if any of my guys are out here watching crypto and you're trading crypto and you're getting into the world of cryptocurrency, you will come to find that the US dollar is referred to as fiat currency. Here we are in the year 2025, and I'll tell you this. If you referred to money as fiat currency in the 2000s, you were branded a conspiracist. You were branded crazy. You were saying something that should not be spoken about openly or freely. You were crossing the lines. Now, here I am. And years go by, and with the knowledge of the Zeitgeist Addendum, I'm literally watching people openly, 1 year, it's crazy talk to say fiat currency, meaning fake currency. And here we are in the next year, everybody's on crypto, and everyone's referring to greenback dollars, the Federal Reserve notes, as fiat currency. Literally revealing to you one financial system being abandoned in favor of another in the extreme version of a cryptocurrency person's viewpoint, right? Now, this reveals a lot. This shows you that the introduction of one financial institution is being discarded for another financial institution, all to make sure that you are enslaved and that the people who are enslaving you have an easier time enslaving you, and the people who are enslaving you under these monetary systems are doing it for the most evil, most satanic, most dark, most incomprehensible reasons. And it's getting clearer and clearer to see that the words that I'm saying match a lot of YouTube algorithms, match a lot of people. Thank you. Match a lot of understandings, match a lot of ideologies. It's not hard to go scroll on social media today and find overlaps with what I'm talking about. So in 1 year, it would have been crazy to say the word fiat, and now it is literally the modern day vernacular for a cryptocurrency person. Now, right before I get into that, Tez, man, did you know that in the time we've been gathering money, trying to purposely going out of our way to make ourselves free, getting money for this studio, building up our wealth, building up our legacy, and building up our income, that money by the creators of money know it's fake, and we can literally identify it as a false currency?
You know what's interesting, bro, is that even though it's fake, it's like still real. And what I'm thinking when you're talking, it's like we make it real. We give it value. So it's like, even though growing up, I just knew, I guess, by just living that money, it was made up. But at the same time, I didn't care whether or not it was made up, because it still has value because we give it value. Like, the only reason why this phone is technically made up, like this is a made up, like it's made up, but it only has value because I decided to give it a fucking value, and I decided to pay however much for the phone. So without me putting this value on this phone, it's just a made up phone. Like, if everyone in society determined that this phone is worth nothing, guess what? This phone would be $0. I can go drink, and I can go get free water from the lake right across the street and drink out of the lake. Yeah, it's dirty, but it's free. Why is it free? Because no one's putting any value on it. So yeah, money is only real. It only is real because we put value on it. Outside of that, it's made up. But since we put value on it, it's still real, and we have to care about it, because without it, we're just going to be losers.
I am so glad that you said that, bro, because that is actually something that's referenced in the Zeitgeist Addendum documentary itself. So for anyone that's following and listening with us, we want you to watch the 3 documentaries: the Zeitgeist Addendum, the Zeitgeist Addendum 2, and Zeitgeist Moving Forward, which is the 3rd entry into that series. That would be about a total of about 6 hours of footage and content that will change your life and give you a better understanding of modern money mechanics. In that documentary, what Tez is saying is actually illustrated in that documentary. And you guys have also, if you were good in college, might have also referenced this as a study that was presented to you in your college years. And yes, I have a bachelor's degree. I'm telling you, college is absolutely fucking useless. I'm sorry that you're going through it if you're going through it. All of my college students, it is a waste of your time. You should just go and get money, unless you're like a doctor, lawyer, da-da-da-da. You heard it all before, right? But here is the experiment that is referenced in the Zeitgeist Addendum. It's called the police prisoner experiment, right? And in this experiment, what they do is they have a bunch of, like, I believe, college students or random candidates for a sample experiment. And what they do for a sample experiment is that for 2 weeks, they lock people in a room and give them assigned roles. And the assigned roles that they gave some of the random people were that of an officer who is to be a security guard or a guarding officer or like a PO, a correctional officer, in front of prisoners that were fake prisoners. And in this scenario, while they were doing the study, the balances of power started to really shift in a fake study. In a simulated experiment, the people really started disrespecting, abusing, hurting, cursing at each other, fighting with each other. In a simulated experiment, they came to find out that people don't differentiate reality from the played game. Now, what does that mean? That means that they have the understanding is that if you were to set up a human's world and you were to give them all the proclivities of a fake society, you could rule that society because the human beings are, either so good-hearted or so ignorant or so, there's so much softness to the human being that can be manipulated that if manipulated just right, if it can be manipulated, it in fact will. A greater example of this would be as if for me to say that there are shepherds and there are shepherds that do sheep herding in real life here today, and you can see this happening. If you were to just Google it, YouTube it, you'll find videos of men who are farmers keeping sheep inside of farms. And those sheep are kept from going and wandering away from fences. And what they'll do sometimes after the sheep have been herded for many years is they'll pull away a section of the fence and let the sheep have the ability to go free. But because the sheep has been stuck inside the fence for so long, with the ability to just wander out and do whatever it can do or wants to do, it does not do because it was trained within its boundaries to be a farm animal. Now, I don't know if you've ever read George Orwell's Animal Farm, but that is a tale that is very telling to show you the nature of human society. You see, the point of me bringing that up is that this money is not gold. This money is not real. Money is fake. Money is fiat. We're going to break down all those examples right here, right now. But with that quick little bullet point, I broke that down to say to you, my boy Tez, with those experiments introduced into the chat, what do you think about how that plays out in the modern day world?
Yeah, what I think about when I hear that and what I'm thinking when you're talking is that it's like we've been trained growing up in kids, raising your hand in school, learning how to ask to go to the bathroom. It's like we've been being programmed since we were very young, and you have to be aware of the fact that you have been being programmed since you were a child, and a lot of the reasons why you act the way you do is because you were programmed. And when Chris talks about the zeitgeist, a lot of this programming, and I don't want to talk too much about that because I don't know a lot about it, a lot of this programming was purposefully done. It was intentional to where these things were put in place so you were a slave, so you won't go against the agenda. And when I hear that, I just think like all this stuff was tactfully done so we can be not only slaves, but we can have to need permission with things, not take control of our own lives, and easily be controlled. So that's what I think when I hear that. And like we've been trained since we were very young, and this is by society. We go off to school away from our families for 8 hours a day in school. From kindergarten to however till 12th grade or until you're in college, you go out, and then guess what? Guess who controls the school? Guess who pays these teachers? They're government employees, right? Yeah, teachers are government employees, right?
Yes,
yeah,
teachers are government employees. Schools are government institutions.
Right. So, yeah. And I asked that because the whole point is that you go to school when you're young for 8 hours a day. You're away from your family. You damn near spend more time at the school than you spend with your family. So these are government employees that are raising you. So effectively, you're being raised by the government as a kid, and they're instilling these things in you to where they can control you. Like I said, you have to raise your hand, go to the bathroom, go to school. You have to know how to act a certain way. That way you can go to college and guess what? Go be a slave for the rest of your life, working a job for someone else, make someone else's dreams come true. And it was tactfully done. And I bring this up, and this is important, is so you can be aware of it and you can also counteract it. Because if you're just going through life and you're not aware of any of this, there's no way for you to fight it because you don't even know what's going on. Or maybe you don't care, you just don't know. So I bring this up so you can be aware and you know how to maneuver your way. You know how to maneuver through life in a way that you actually win at this.
Amen. So that's why we're breaking it down to you guys now, and now we're about to get into it. That was the introduction. Make sure you're following us on every platform. We do a lot of behind-the-scenes optimization. Shout out to you, Tez. Shout out to you, producer Billy. We're doing everything we can to make this 5-star live stream #1 in all broadcasting content. If you're not following us on Instagram, you need to be doing that. If you're not following us on Twitter, guess where you need to be. And if you're not on Rumble and YouTube, you should get there because we're giving you the extra creamy sauce. Pause. No Diddy. Let's get into this. So, first and foremost, what you would need to understand in the world of operating modern-day money systems is that the American government is made out of 3 systems: the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. These are the 3 branches of government by which all governing mechanisms are embodied throughout here in the great USA. And if we were truly a sovereign nation, and if we were truly operating with freedoms, and if the government was working for us, not against us, if the government was an institution like HR that checks in on you and you could just run things by them and make sure that they were taking care of your life in a modern way, and the government was used to empower the people and not enslave the people, those 3 branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, would be the branches of government operating the freest, bestest, most sovereign country in all of the world. Shout out to you, America, and all my patriots in the USA. I love the people. We the people. Let's go, everybody. However, out of nowhere, a certain specific group of people that will not be named on this channel, winky winky, hopefully you know who I'm talking about, have introduced a institution that has no official position in our country at all. None whatsoever. And that unofficial, and you can ask ChatGPT, watch, it's going to blur the lines of the definition of this institution, is called the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is the mafia, I should say, is a mafia-styled implementation of something that has no business being there by a very specific group of people that you don't have to look too far into that control the money. And with that institution being there, that institution came out of nowhere and decided it's going to operate and do whatever it wants, however it wants, whenever it feels like, however it feels like, against you. You see, the Federal Reserve is an institution that was implemented to destroy you. There have been presidents that have tried to go against the Federal Reserve, and they all end up assassinated, which is quite interesting. However, back when the Federal Reserve was first implemented, I believe it was in the early, we'll figure out that day for you guys soon, right? But when it was first implemented, the implementation of the Federal Reserve was the abolishment of gold as the currency of the USA. Now, I'm going to break down money for you guys to understand what money is. I'm going to quote Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Robert Kiyosaki, who owns gold mines, says gold is God's money. Fun fact, gold is the physical manifestation of the sun on the earth. Gold is a scarce and limited resource. Let's talk about what gold could get you if you were truly sovereign. You see, today we're living in a time and an age where millennials and Gen Z cannot get their money together. They can't get their shit together. The system is being inflated out of their ability to afford anything. But let's say that they weren't using paper greenbacks, and they, as a man, you were working and you were laboring and you were toiling and you were building farms and you were tilling the land and working for wealthy men and becoming who you wanted to be, and you were to set all the assets that you acquired aside, and you acquired a bar of gold. And with this one bar of gold, with the worth of the bar of the gold, you were able to trade or give this bar of gold to a farmland. And with that bar of gold, the worth of the gold gave you land on the house and wood to build a house and crops to grow food abundantly and cattle to always have food and process, and your ability to afford women and children all started with one bar of gold. This asset would return another asset that in turn gives you continuous assets, because land can always be the answer to your freedom, and owning land was an American tenement. It was something that we all as patriots believed would be the great access to our freedom. However, in contrast with that understanding that I gave you today, this current zeitgeist that we're going through is one of a narrative that tells you, no, you don't need to own anything. Rent away. You don't need to own it. You can just use a little bit of the money that you don't even own, that isn't worth anything, and you own nothing. And we, the government, and all the black governments and deep states own everything. They own everything. They have everything, and you get nothing, because you are an indentured slave. You see, these are the kind of things that should make your blood boil. It should be making you angry, and it used to be something you can't speak about. But today, in modern day 2025, they don't even care. Before I go into my first bullet point, see, that was just the introduction of the Federal Reserve. What do you think of this, my boy? What you think about that federal institution coming out of nowhere?
I think it's interesting. Like, there's a lot with that. So, I believe that fucking with gold, bro, it's like, I believe when you're talking, I'm thinking about this. I do believe that money, the dollar, accelerated where we are today. Like, if we were still trading gold, it's so scarce that we wouldn't accelerate to what the world is now, just because it's so much more scarce. And this is what I'm thinking when you're talking, and it's scarce. And I believe that the divide of like the have-yachts or have-nots would be so much more higher if they said fuck the dollar, we're just gonna stick with gold. It's gonna be even fucking. There's not gonna be as many millionaires. There's not gonna be, and these are all new thoughts. What I'm thinking while you're talking, I think it would just be higher. So I do believe that there's a benefit to creating the dollar. I think more people get to experience wealth. Yeah, it's made up. But if we still did go based off of gold, I believe the people who had the gold, it'd either be you had a lot of gold or you're like just someone barely getting by. Like I said, that divide would be bigger. But yeah, and I think about, when I hear that, I think about it's like your job. You're working for your job. They make the rules to benefit the job, the business, not to benefit you. So rarely are you going to win and the job's going to win. So this government, this society was made so, of course, the government could win, but it's also like we're for the people, so everyone could win. So it's like we're lucky to live in the United States to where we actually have a government that somewhat cares about that, somewhat compared to other countries, cares about the country, because we could be living in a much more fucked up place. So it's like, yeah, they made this for everyone. Like, they made these rules, all these laws and everything, not just for like individuals, but for everyone in general. So yeah, it's gonna suck for some people, but you got to remember that this whole system is created for the better good of society as a whole, not for individual people. So that's one thing. And rarely do both like parties get to win the same. Someone's gonna always have the leverage in this. In a hierarchy, and I'm thinking when you're talking as well, a hierarchy is really needed in society. Like, there needs to be winners, there needs to be losers. Because if not, and everyone's just the same, they have no motive, no motivation to really get up and go, then shit's not gonna get done. So there's a benefit to it as well, but it's not perfect. But I see the good in it, and yeah. But what are your thoughts on, as far as when I say gold isn't, or the dollar has accelerated like where we are today and gold would hold us back. What are your thoughts on that?
Interesting. I like this question, man. It's a good topic. And that topic can actually be broken down into multiple layers. So let's start with what we've got, right? To respond with the contrast of gold in the introduction of Federal Reserve notes, which are debt in and of itself, I would say that the introduction of debt, in the very beginning of the introduction of debt, could hypothetically, for the people in the introduction of it, experience the catalyst by which the economy may have a false or simulated acceleration. But as you watch the documentary and you get to understand it, you will see that that false acceleration has built-in inflation into the system to guarantee the de-evolution of that country, or the de-evolution of that system, or the de-evolution of that economy, or the de-evolution of the political system backing that economy, to guarantee that the system will fall, to later put the country in so much debt that some other country could come and wipe it out and claim it again, wiping out the previous generation to then do whatever they want with it. So it's a guaranteed death sentence. Now, in contrast to that introduction of Federal Reserve notes, in comparison to the use of gold, silver, scarce resources like diamonds, which don't have any real worth. You never see people investing in diamonds on the stock market, right? Or rubies, emeralds, etc., you would come to know the mechanics of money. It is said that in today's current census that all the amount of gold on the earth could fit underneath the Eiffel Tower in Paris. That would mean that volumetrically, for the 8 billion people living today, that there is enough gold to have the entire earth running. So it is possible, and through the mechanics of money, there is enough resources for everybody to win. So I'm going to throw a quick fun fact in here, right? The solution or the juxtaposition to a godless, greenback, Federal Reserve note, indebted, entrenched system, if you wanted to research some solutions on how to use God's economy, or gold being God money, as quoted by Robert Kiyosaki, a owner of gold mines, would be the Book of Jubilees. The Book of Jubilees is a missing book of the Bible that some people have in their books and institutions and others have never read. But you'll come to find out the way in which money and time is supposed to be procured and used in a God's-based economy is written down word for word. And one of the fun facts I'll throw in there is that the Jubilee, I believe, means in a rotation of 50 years. And God had made it very clear that no man all debt is to be relieved after 50 years, that no man be indebted to another man. Now, I want you to think about that. If it is written that no man is to be indebted to another man, and we have an entire introduction of a false-based system and a false currency with demonic shit printed all over it by a bunch of Freemasons, which is not even like hidden, you would then come to realize that this system is a direct mockery and an inversion of what we have today. So let's talk about what we actually have today, which brings me to another bullet point that I have here. The U.S. is currently in a $34 trillion deficit. And every single politician and every single president has completely bamboozled your face and lied to you to make you think that there is a possibility of the dollar getting stronger. There is not. They have lied to you and bamboozled you into making you think that they could sign a law or allocate a fund or come up with a solution or put some type of system of plays or principles into rule or leadership that's going to benefit you, when they know from the structure of modern money mechanics, which is what we're about to get into here, they know that the monetary system is a debt inflationary system guaranteed for all of you to lose except them, because the implementation of this monetary system wipes out all of the resources so that they can store up all of the real resources. You see, paper has no value. Gold, gas, oil, guns, bullets all have real value. And if they have all that and you have none of that, you have nothing.
Hell yeah. And when you're talking, what I think is that who has the real value when it comes to value is the humans. Us as humans, we have the value. So we've been, and God, of course. So we've been told what to put value on, and we've made it valued. Me and Chris briefly talked about this before the show. And so, yeah, we determine if money's made up, it's just paper. Yeah, technically it's just paper. Paper grows on trees. Technically, yeah, it has no value. But we decide to give it value by us caring about, I'm not going to walk outside and go give someone $500 or $1,000, because guess what? I'm going to have less money, and it just wouldn't be smart to do, because money actually is valuable only because we give it value. Everything in this world is only value because we decide to give it value. So that's one thing that I want to say as well.
100%, man. 100%. Just like we were saying earlier, if everyone had the knowledge that's in my head, right? And my knowledge is at a pretty reachable level. There's nothing here that I am speaking about that you can't yourself know. If you read a few books, invest some time into getting your financial discipline in order, watch these Zeitgeist Addendum movies, start digging into your financial resources, you would come to the knowledge of saying, wow, in just a few hours or days of studying, I see that I am in a government institutionalized deceptive lie. And if every last single one of the people that have value on them knew this lie, all of us would rise up and say, I don't want to play that game anymore. I want real value. I want real assets. I want real money. I want real future. I want real legacy. I want something tangible. And it is normal and good for you and your human nature to want something tangible for your hard labor, for all your all your toiling and all the effort that you put into accumulating an amazing life over these years. If you work, you should receive. And as we get into this, you'll see that it is truly better to give than it is to receive in God's economy. Moving forward, I'm going to just jump right into some of the specifics that I've written here for you guys today, right? So in the modern day institutionalized money systems, a lot of what banks do and a lot of what institutionalized systems do is that they first give you a bunch of intimidating mathematics with inflated money mechanics inside of it, right? So as you're going throughout your life and you're hearing the news say, hey, man, we're $34 trillion in debt, and, you know, it all seems hopeless and we're all doomed. And, you know, if you were to get a bank loan, you have to understand the principal and you have to understand the interest. When they're coming at you with this intimidated, overly complicated, hard to understand mathematical systems, you would have to understand that education comes into play immediately and intelligence quotas come into play immediately. And the people who understand these institutions and money the best are going to be leaps and bounds over the average person. Average meaning most. Most people will never put in the time, effort, and energy into understanding the diverse things that you need to know to understand the mechanics of money. And because most people won't do it, and most people are being deceived, and because most people don't understand that the government does not care about you and wants the worst for you and would love for you to die, which is why they have so many death calls in the modern day, you don't know from your good nature or from you're currently blinded under a deceptive spell, you don't know that these things are there to intimidate and confuse you. Unfortunately, if you don't know, you will end up being a slave. You will be a cog in somebody else's machine. However, the only way to combat this inflated system is to have knowledge and with a strategy and a goal. Now, keep in mind, another way to combat this is that at any moment in time, you can just get up away from society and go leave society and go off into the grass, into the bushes, and live some off-the-grid life. Not practical for most, but possible. And if it's possible, that means that this system automatically has an exposed flaw, because you have to understand that this system guarantees winners and losers. Whereas I know that this firmament created by God with gold was designed for you to experience abundance in every single area of your life under God's economy, which is something I hope you get close to as you're building out your family and homes, as you get into the world of dating. Now, what you would need to know next in the documentary, Zeitgeist Addendum, is that the narrator will go ahead and break down a book that's available to you, a book that you can Google, a book that you could find. I'm sure you could ask ChatGPT. And this book is called Modern Money Mechanics. Modern Money Mechanics goes ahead and describes to you the system by which the institution, the Federal Reserve, has implemented a fictitious and unprovable, a fake system of printing money out of thin air. So, let's think about printing money out of thin air before I go forward. If gold is a finite resource, that means it has scarcity. And if it has scarcity, that means it has value. And if it has value, there's abundance in that. Why does everybody like Bitcoin? Because there's a scarce, limited amount of them. There's only 24 million of them. Is that right, Producer Billy? How many Bitcoins are there? 24 million? Yeah, there we go. So because there's only a limited amount of Bitcoin, that creates the scarcity that perpetuates value. And people understand this, but their brains have been so warped into digital currency, which if all the computers get shut off one day, guess what? You are fucked. But you can't turn off life. You can't turn off the sun. You can't turn off the next day. So if you had tangible assets like gold, you still have buying power and you're still in the game. For some reason, this truth is so solid and so grounded and so tangible that the world in the recent years had forgot. I have literally had conversations with people that told me, gold isn't so important anymore. Gold isn't that big of a deal. Everybody's really in it for the crypto. And when I hear people talk like that, I know that they have swallowed the tit of propaganda and have swallowed so much government shit down their throat that they actually believe the words that they're saying, because they are just eating up what the system is feeding them. And when I say system, I want you to know that really what I'm saying is beast system. And what I really mean by beast system is satanic beast system. Mark of the motherfucking beast system in your modern day, right? So when you read the Modern Money Mechanics, they print money out of thin air. They literally enter numbers on a screen and boom, money is made. This in and of itself is paradoxical. Think about that. Paradoxical. The money system that we are currently using right here, right now, today is a defined paradox. Before I get into that, you ever heard the term paradox? You know what it means? Yeah. Give it to me, my boy.
Living in a paradox, like a false reality. That's what I think when I hear the word paradox. Like a false reality, it's like a paradox. It's just fake, not real, kind of an illusion, and a paradox. Kind of like, yeah.
And I brought that up for a very specific reason, right? Printing money is a paradox. I'm going to give you an example called the grandfather paradox, right? I want to see if you've ever heard of the grandfather paradox. It's recently been quite popular. Maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't.
Never heard of it.
All right, let's say that we invent a solid working time machine, right? Just we can go back in time. Now, let's say that you are going back in time because you've been assigned to kill your grandfather? Can you do that?
If I'm assigned to kill my grandfather,
Can you go back in time and kill your grandfather?
for like what reason? Like,
Well, now let's say that you did go back in time and you were assigned to go kill your grandfather. Would you then be born to go do it? And if you did do it, could you do it? It's called the grandfather paradox. Quite the mind fuck, right? So that mind fuck is exactly the fucking bullshit that they're putting you through in printing money. Money and printing should never be in the same sentence. Money being printed out of thin air at the behest of a government request is institutionalized slavery. If you're upset about slavery at any point in time for identity politics, well, I have news for you, motherfucker. Your bitch ass is a slave right here, right now, today. You want to complain about slavery ever? Guess what? I'm a slave and you're a fucking slave. So you should stop crying about this bullshit and get really smart about your money if you ever want to experience freedom, location freedom, travel freedom, dating freedom, real freedom. It's got to come from your buying power, bruv. So, as we get into modern money mechanics and fractionalize in the Federal Reserve is an institution that was just implemented out of nowhere and came and got to land on the government and erect themselves out of nowhere and start printing money. So what will happen is that money creation works like this. The United States government will literally go to the Federal Reserve and say, hey, Federal Reserve, I need Federal Reserve bonds. So I need Federal Reserve bonds to the effect of $10 billion. And then what they'll do is that the Federal Reserve will give the bonds to the government, and in exchange for that, the government gets the exact printing of $10 billion in Federal Reserve notes. Let's break this down. A greenback dollar used to be an IOU of gold. What was happening is that people were getting rich. People were collecting gold. People had gold. So what they would do is give each other the exact same tool that you're using in your pocket today, the green 20s, the 5s, the 10s, the 100s. They would give that to each other. But in giving that money to each other, that money was a guarantee that you had an IOU to gold that you can go and tangibly get out of the bank. So if somebody gave you $100, that was $100 in gold that you were getting, and you could go to the bank and get that gold in exchange for that dollar anytime that you want. And I believe it was Richard Nixon, or it had to be earlier than that. Richard Nixon wasn't that long ago. One of those presidents was literally in charge of implementing the Federal Reserve to abolish the gold, get rid of all the money, and give you Federal Reserve notes, which literally means nothing. It's an IOU of debt. It is a monetary system based on debt. You cannot have freedom or system or food or anything with debt. You can't have anything real with debt. If you wonder why the food is being destroyed, why the food is being constantly the most unhealthy thing ever, is because this is the natural path that follows a system based on institutionalized debt. So first and foremost, did you know that people were exchanging dollars for gold?
Yeah, I knew that was a thing. Yeah, I know it was like one of our founding fathers that introduced IOU, and that, yeah, it was the thing. Yeah.
So how should that in your eyes make somebody feel when when you were working, you were getting something tangible, but now you're getting debt?
Now you're getting debt.
No gold, you just get debt, which means you get, let's say that you are $10,000 in credit card debt right now. How does that make you feel?
Terrible.
Okay, let's say that everything that you get is debt. How does that make you feel?
Terrible.
Yeah, right? It is not fair. Life is not fair. We're not telling you that life is fair. We're telling you life mother frickin' sucks if you don't get to use it the way that you want to use it. Unfortunately, that is what happens sometimes, right?
And I'll say this: who gives a fuck about how you feel? Like who actually cares?
Nobody. When I tell you nobody cares how you feel, boy, ain't nobody caring how you feel. So if the government decides, listen, we're going to use chicken bones as money, and you got to fucking deal with that shit, ain't nobody caring how you feel. You're going to have to adapt or die. Something that me and Tez say to each other a lot. Adapt or motherfucking die, boy. And this is why we're giving you the knowledge that you need to know to understand that the government institutions want the absolute worst for you. They hate that you exist. The fact that you are a happy, moving, free-loving being is something that they shit on. So if you've ever seen the Matrix movie and you felt as if that movie was very metaphorically identifiable to you, where they used all of the humans as batteries to perpetuate a machine for absolutely no real reason, that is exactly what you're experiencing with the modern day institution of the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, and I'll say this, yeah. Like, who gives a fuck about how I feel? I don't even like saying how I, like, I don't give, like, fuck everything about how I feel.
Well, on another note, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I feel gay caring about shit. Fuck my feelings. I shouldn't say this. I'm done. But okay, here's what I think about this. I think a lot about this. Okay. So, like I said, we're putting value on this. People as humans, we are putting value on this. And here's something else I think about, because I work with people from third world countries, other countries, people from Africa. Yes, I'm from Africa, but when I say from Africa, like first generation here from Africa, people who are from poor countries and who are not from the U.S., a lot of times they tend to be more happy or fulfilled. They come here, they think about the American dream, but we care about money so much in capitalism. So you got to think, with all this that was made with money, it's either we have the society that we live in today, or we have a country like, whether it's Africa or a poor country who's not as advanced as us. It's either one or the other. So I believe that the people who created this society, I don't believe it was that bad of an intention, but regardless of what the intention is, the good thing about this is that we're all born slaves, which that's not the good thing. We're all born as slaves, but we all have the opportunity to unslave ourselves. So I believe that's the greatest thing. So this is all about finding a way to win. So there's a lot of problems in this world. It's built against you a lot of times. It's hard, but the one good thing about this is that anything that you're not happy with or you're not fulfilled or satisfied with, you have the opportunity to change it. So we're all born as slaves. It's all built against us. It's hard to climb out, but the good thing is you can climb out. And it's hard. It's hard. You're a small percentage if you make it out. But if you're a person who's at work all day and you hate going to work, then start creating a life that you feel fulfilled, or you believe that you can have a good life out of, and do that. But if you're a person who goes to work or likes creating other people's dreams, making them richer, if you're a person, you don't care about that, that doesn't make you feel inside a certain way, or you don't care, you're okay with living your life that way, then go ahead and do that. Not everyone's meant to create a business and be an entrepreneur and create the life for themselves that other people want. So a lot of this stuff, it's fucked up about the situation that we're in, but the good part about it is that you can unslave yourself and win in this world. So that's a good thing.
100%. Listen, Coach Tez Unplugged, he's guiding you through this. You don't get to cry. You don't get to complain. If they decide gas is $20 tomorrow, guess what? You just got to work harder, bro. It's life. If this is what's going to happen, you're going to have to go through it, my boy. Unfortunately, this is it's an evil world we live in.
It's an evil world we live in. And another thing that I'll say is that if I'm a person who doesn't care about money, I decide to not give a fuck about what the world cares about. If I'm that person, I'm just going to lose in life. Like, that's being delusional in a sense. Like, I'm not able to, as an individual, say I don't care about something, whether it's money's made up or I don't care about this, but the whole world around me is putting value on this. I'm just going to be stagnant in life and get behind. So regardless of what you think, to some point you have to adapt to the world and what's around you. There's shit in everyday life that me as a person, I don't care about, but I'm like, damn, I'm living in a world with these people, so I still have to maneuver in a way that helps me succeed. Because if I behave like my natural state and I don't care about what's going on with a certain part of the life that I'm living, but other people do, I'm just gonna fail. Like if I'm in a basketball game and there's a line of out of bounds and I'm like, this line just means nothing to me, but to them it means everyone else is making this. But it means if I'm in the game and I step out of bounds, to me that line is stupid and it shouldn't be there. But guess what? The ref's gonna blow the whistle and the other team's gonna get the ball because the society has made that line rule. The basketball rules has made it rule. So it's like a lot of this stuff, yeah, it's made up. It's hard for you to win, but build a life that you can maneuver through it and win. And that's a good part. Another good part about living in America is that we get to do that. There are some countries to where you don't even have the ability to make it out and build a life for yourself that's a successful life, and you get to be outside of your everyday life or normal life. So build a life so you can win.
Exactly, man. So getting right back into the modern money mechanics document that I was telling you guys about here, right? It is paradoxical to be able to print money out of thin air. Now, with fractional reserve banking, one of the interesting things about fractional reserve banking is that when the U.S. government requests these $10 billion in bonds, and then the Federal Reserve gives them $10 billion in bonds, another $9 billion is printed out of thin air for them to collect. And then upon collecting this money, they get to fractionalize it and make more money upon every withdrawal. So for every amount of human activity and human interaction, they are printing money out of thin air. So what that looks like is that money on one side of a chart that we will put in the clips for you guys is forever descending against you, and money for them is always ascending for them to have all the buying power. It is a guaranteed rigged system of debt. All money is debt. So what I'm basically saying is like an oxymoron, because there is no money, there is only debt. So what that means is that every time that you get a dollar, you are receiving debt. And if every dollar was paid back, then there would be no debt. So if every dollar was paid back, there would be no dollars in circulation. All dollars are a web of slavery. Every digital number on the screen in your bank account is an institutional instrument of debt. This is really bad because let's talk about, for example, hip-hop culture, right? Owned by governments, owned by record labels that fill up prisons to make sure that you are forever a dumbass with dumbass music that makes you stupider and stupider every time you listen to it at a lower frequency, and by which a frequency that's meant to lower the vibration of you and your human soul and spirit and put you into a state of depressedness or lowerness. What's happening here is that this propaganda machine built by the CIA has people with stacks and racks of $100 bills, and they're throwing them at girls, and they're committing debauchery and throwing them at everybody, making you, the other end of the consumer side of the TV screen, believe that, man, they have all those institutional debts of instruments of debt, so I want all those institutional instruments of debt. But you're being deceived. The financial system is slavery. So they are perpetuating a propaganda to get you indulged in slavery, making you think that this is okay. But I'll have you know that if we were to show this to people who are dead by the generation, when they were using IOU notes as a way to receive and exchange gold, if they saw these music videos today of people being so excited to throw around debt, they would think that we are beyond stupid. They would think that we are beyond lost. They would think that we are beyond gone. They would look at us with broken hearts. They would look at us with tears in their eyes. They would look at us as looking at us would make them feel broken, to know that we are glorifying and using all of our human energy to one day be at the very top of absolute nothing by acquiring instruments of debt. That is not good. So remember that. If every single dollar was paid back, there would be no dollars. And if there were no dollars, the only instrument of real money that there is gold and silver and rubies and precious metals and assets and cattle and livestock. There is a very, very famous, a very viral clip going around right now of a podcaster saying something to the effect of, and I'm going to quote here, something along the lines of, do you know why the previous generation of the boomers were willing to tolerate so many lies from the government? The reason that they were willing to tolerate so many lies from the government is that because when they were tolerating the lies from the government in the before 9/11 days, that the working American was guaranteed a patch of land, a car, and a job that could take care of his family. And because of the ability to have that sort of freedom in American soil, on American soil, they felt as if they had some freedom that was worth being lied to. However, in Generation Z, in the current day today, Generation Z gets absolutely no chance at that dream. The institutionalized debt that is guaranteed to get worse and worse with every fleeting second is rearing its ugly head now, and the ramifications of a debt-based economy is a sinking ship that you will never escape from. Every job is making sure that you don't get hired. Every job is making sure that if you do get hired, it's harder and harder for you to make money. And in the modern day, I would say that ironically, a lot of us as men have degrees, and we're finding that white collar work is not going to save us at all. But in fact, blue collar work, manual labor, seems to have a lot more worth behind it. I myself even started manual companies where I had to go and do manual labor. And I find in doing manual labor, exchanging my body, my choice, yeah, fuck all of you, with using my body to literally do construction work or to do manual labor, which is blue collar work, manual labor. Doing manual labor seems to generate more dollars than a degree will ever get you. And that is a backwards ass sell of college in the first place. College today is a guaranteed plunder into nothingness. As soon as you go to Indeed.com or start networking with people of any echelon, low, mid, or high, they don't give a fuck about your degree or your certificates. They will pretend, they will lie to your face, they'll get competitive with you. But only far and few between are people retaining the jobs at the pay rate that they used to get paid. And you have to work your ass off competitively to have even a fraction of what you would deserve from an education. However, you're not getting what you deserve, right? You put 25 cents in the gumball machine. You're expecting a gumball. These days, you're putting 25 cents in the gumball machine, and the gumball machine is coming to life, flicking you off, saying fuck you and running away, and spitting in your face and tap dancing on your face like they don't give no shits about you. So now what's also happening is that the Gen Z person is really only getting to experience the gig economy, meaning that they get to work through DoorDash or Uber or something that's an application online, and the only jobs that they're getting is self-serve at a detriment to their own livelihood. Because going down, I myself have done Uber in college, and I know going down that road, that is a way to make money, that's a way to pass time, that's a way to pay the bills, but it's not scalable. It's just not. It does hurt your back, it does take your gas, it does take your time, it does make money in exchange for time, but you don't get a house, a family, a car, kids out of it. You get a lot of hours on the road, a lot of loneliness, a lot of music, and a lot of sexlessness for men. And you have to understand that over time, when you're a man without sex, you're experiencing sexual neglect, which in and of itself has a lot of caveats and a lot of detriments to your overall health, psychological well-being, and who you are going to be as a man. And it's unfortunate that it weakens you in dating. With fractionalized reserve banking, as I was giving you an example where the government comes and requests, let's say, $10 billion in bonds, and then they go and they print the additional $9 billion out of thin air. What will happen then is that they will print more money on top of that money. So what happens is, just like when you go to a casino, you're gambling your money away. The house always wins. The government always wins. The Federal Reserve and the government will always win. Now, in exchange for going to the bank and getting a loan, what is happening to you is that you are receiving debt instruments of money, right? And when you're receiving this debt instrument, the killer, the coup de grace of the entire situation is that they want you to pay. Let's say that you borrowed $1 from the bank. They are expecting you to pay that $1 back. But in order to pay that $1 back, you need to go out into the world and exchange time for money to go get that other dollar, which is understandable. And in that system, somewhat doable. It's actually, although it is unfair and fictitious by the word fiat currency in and of itself, it is conceivably possible to do so. However, like I said, the coup de grace to make sure that you get the death blow is interest. So in this paradoxical system, we have to ask, if you're going to give me a loan of $1 and I have to go out and I have to pay that $1 back, but you're going to charge me more money on top of that $1, in the system that you've laid out for me to experience, since you care about me, where do I get the money for this interest? And guess what? You don't. Remember when I said it's a paradox? You don't get money for that interest. So you have to find ways to run on the hamster wheel even faster and even longer at a detriment to your livelihood and well-being, so they can keep you in the system. So keeping you in the B system, Satan's system, keeps you running in the rat race longer. And if you run in the rat race longer, you get less time to experience reading books, being knowledgeable, developing yourself, doing push-ups, going to the gym, working with your ox, working with your cows, working on your land, toiling in your fields, enjoying the benefits of having your women and your children, and experiencing all that God has given to you, experiencing travel. In fact, most Americans today do not travel. Most Americans are in debt by design. Most of us are fucking dying a slow death by 1,000 paper cuts, and that is not by accident. You see, the printing of the new money steals the value of the old money. So you have to understand that inflation is what I just described. When they print this new money, the value of the dollar that you are holding in your pocket, the value of the dollar that we've known and loved for all these years, it's supposed to make you so strong. Billy, the value of the dollar gets its value from the other dollars printed. Unfortunately, what that means is that you are experiencing inflation. Inflation is a bullshit definition. The word inflation is a deceptive word. There is no inflation. There is only taxation. Taxation is the best deception ever pulled off, because see, people, for whatever moral deceptive reason, have come to determine, well, yeah, if I get money and I get it, from the circulation of America, when I pay taxes, I'm really paying taxes to the government, so I can keep the government operating. And since that helps me keep the government operating, I'm paying my dues to society. And when I pay taxes to the government, that's where we get money for roads and money for potholes and money for parks, which is completely a lie. That is not true. If you think like that, if you were raised like that, if you were taught to believe that, you have shit inserted into your ears. And with that shit that's floating in between your ears, you need to understand that you've been lied to and swallowed the turd of these government institutions or false government institutions so unknowingly that you are effectively deceived and you are experiencing a problem that you can't even recognize that you're in. So watching 5-Star, we're coming here to let you know we do not want you to think that way. We want you to understand that inflation is taxation. Inflation is tax on currency, which is like saying taxes on taxes, which is like saying slavery on slavery. Money is debt. Debt is money. We should not even use the word money. We should use debt or gold to really have a better understanding of how to navigate the world freely.
Hell yeah. And the main thing here is you have to find a way to win. Like, just find a way and find out what you want out of life. Because if you're a person, you don't care about the cars, you don't care about the fancy stuff in life, the finer things in life, you don't care about the food, you don't really care about where you live at, then go live off grid and just go hunt, kill animals, you eat that, and then you'll be fine. So it really comes down about you finding out what you want out of life and then operating a way to where you get what you want out of life. Because if you're like, fuck this system, I don't like it, it's not for me, then go off grid, go do your own thing. You can definitely go do that. Now, you're not going to have as many resources as you would have if you don't do that. So you have to find out if you're a person who's okay with not kind of just okay living in maybe like a trailer, like an RV or whatever. That is okay. You can go live that way. Some people say they're happier that way. They feel more fulfilled. Like I said, I spoke with people in third world countries. They have family back home. They don't care about money and all this materialistic as much. They value family. And some people that they might be happier doing that rather than chasing, working just to get money and pay bills and do that. So you have to find out, look within, deep down, find out exactly what you want, and then operate in that way to where you get what you want. Don't just say you want a Lamborghini because you see someone else or you think it's like the cool thing to want, because then you're just working for something that you don't even want, and then your life is an illusion at that point because you're just going off of what other people want. So if you're someone who wants nice things like myself, then either you take the route of just being in this capitalistic world and you work, you do what you do, and you to get what you want out of life, or if you're a person who just doesn't want anything, doesn't want any of this materialistic stuff, again, go off grid, go do your own thing. But with all these resources that we have now, you might want to go eat a steak, or you can hunt and do that, or you might want to go to the bowling alley. You might want to like do these things to where it's going to require you to have some money that you're going to have to exchange for the bowling alley or whatever you want to get out of life. So it really comes down to finding out what you want and doing that, because you can win. Yes, the system's fucked up. The system, it's not built for you. It's built for society. But the good thing is there's a way for you to win and a way for you to create your life in a way that it satisfies you and fulfills you.
100%, big dog. I'm glad that you say that, because that's the mentality by which you are guaranteed to succeed. You see, if you operate that mentality and put it in the guise of operating through God's economy, it is very clear that we have very specific rules in this way. You see, contrary to the beliefs out here in Florida, which are very common in Miami, people will say, or people will live by an ideology of which they need to indulge in absolute materialism and gain money to achieve richness or status, which is a very surface level way of accumulating material wealth. And we're not in any way advocating for you to gain material wealth. We're advocating you to understand that you need to put this through the lens of God's economy, which would be the only solution to this. And the reason I say that is because The people that made the Federal Reserve, which are a very specific, easy to identify group of people, are printing money out of thin air, which is essentially creating something out of nothing, which is a gigantic mockery on the creator, because man cannot create something out of nothing. Only God can create something out of nothing. You see, it is an entrapment, it is enslavement, it is a web, it is an inversion of reality that you're living in. And I'll give you a fun fact. Numbers, the way that you're taught them, are very spiritual. Or not, the way that you're taught them are very unspiritual, but in fact, numbers are spiritual. Numbers are in creation. There's a topic that I'll go into on a much different day, and it's about how the number system that you know has switched characters, right? So it really goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 8, not 7, 8, 9, with the symbols. So one thing I'll teach you guys later is that the 8 and the 9 were switched. And in switching those number systems, what will happen is that the number system with that switch will always negate downward into debt, whereas the other one will always go into the ascension of God, which is always going to lead you closer to gold, which is always going to lead you closer to God's path or God's economy. I want you to understand that there is a perception of Christianity or God that requires you to be a person that is always poor or less than or has less. And this is indoctrination. This is complete BS. The first time that God introduced Abraham was in Genesis, and when he introduced him in the Bible, he did not say that Abraham was a rich man. He said that Abraham was a very rich man. And this is what God wants you to be. He wants you to be rich and abundant. It is literally said in the Bible, if you ask, you shall receive. Not maybe receive, not sort of receive, not kind of receive, but if you ask, you shall receive. It also says not to store up your riches here on earth, but to store up your riches in the kingdom of heaven. Something that you can do, and I want you to know, with any monetary system in play, God wants you to be rich. God wants you to be wealthy, and I would implore you to dedicate every waking second, hour, minute of your life into acquiring finances in God's economy, which is something you'd only be able to do by reading the Bible. And all of these things that we're talking about here are literally in existence. The deeper that you research it, run contrary to the Bible itself. So now that you know that the number system has been inverted, that's a fun fact that you can look into, and only God can create something out of nothing. You're looking at a very, very satanic order beast system that is doing everything that it can to derail your life, own your life, take your life, enslave your life, and give you nothing at the end of it because it gave you nothing to begin with. Unfortunately, that is the time we're living in. But for whatever reason, out here in the great state of Florida, we have Ron DeSantis, doing what he can to put gold and silver back into tendered currency, which is a good thing in the grand scheme of things if you do this wisely and correctly. That's something me and Tez will touch on a later day. But back into the topic of the Zeitgeist Addendum, it is actually true that Andrew Jackson tried to shut down the central banking at that time. And to no avail, when Andrew Jackson tried to get rid of central banking, a very specific group of people assassinated him. So what we learn is that if you screw with the money, if you play with the money, the people who put these institutions into play are going to kill you. You see, that's why this is so significant. Because as I started this podcast by saying, it used to be that if you were to call money fiat currency, you can't say that. You're crazy. How could you say such a thing? And today, the monetary system of money, the printed notes, why the Zeitgeist Addendum, which I believe came out around 2007, here in 2025, nothing but, 14 years later, this system is crashing so fast that the overlords and the rulers of the modern day are implementing digital currencies to guarantee that you're stuck on things like universal basic income or computer-based currencies, which is like it's a fucking mockery of another mockery. I want you to know that if you're extremely hyped up and excited to put your Federal Reserve notes, which is no money, into a computer-based currency, which is digital money, on a hard wallet, that at any point in time, if you're the dumbass out here who's driving an electric car with all your digital currency, one swipe of a switch somewhere could wipe out you forever. And if you don't think they'll do that, just remember to a very specific time when they decided to close down the world for absolutely no reason other than a fake virus. And with you getting to believe in this fake virus, they were literally testing you and showing you how stupid you or people in society are. And if you think that they won't flip the switch just to wreak chaos on you in a system where they have no love for you, hate you, and want you to die every waking second because they are leaders of a death cult, you are their favorite little monkey. You're their favorite jester. You're their favorite child because you don't see the future. You think that there's innovation in these currencies, but there is not. The only innovation that you will ever need to set up a life in a perfect scenario, which I'm not saying we're in a perfect scenario, but what would be a perfect scenario is resources, gold, silver, gases, oils. Look at the people in Saudi Arabia. They're all rich off oil. As soon as the government finds oil, you know they're coming out to get all that because that is a resource that keeps you wealthy. And they don't want you wealthy. They don't want you procreating. They don't want you having large families. Look at China. They only let you have like 1 or 2 children at a time. We were just talking to Kendall. He is literally the product of the one children society in China. If you were populating at the rate that you want to populate as a man, you would have kingdoms and dynasties outruling the government. If you had the gold that you so need to be earning in your toiling and your labor, you would so have buying power in the real world, for the power and the asset and the tender currency of gold can never be denied anywhere that you go. So, taxing and interest are the bullets in the chamber that kill you in this monetary system that is guaranteed to make sure that you failed. Every time that you borrow money, more money is owed back. There are currently existing court cases that you could find if you need the tangible way to navigate the world. If you are so indoctrinated that you need academia to prove all that you are and all that exists, you can actually find court cases by which people have taken the Federal Reserves and banks to courts and have said they are having me loan them, taking out loans that they don't have the right to print. They are giving me money that they don't have the right to create. And when you challenge the system like that, you will see that there are people who have won these cases, proving that the system is creating something out of nothing, and they do not have the right by any constitutional law or by any law whatsoever to do this thing. For you must understand, the way in which to navigate the modern world by the logic of the Zeitgeist Addendum would be to work on the improvements of technology. For example, let's say that we use technology and resources to create a society that was logically striving towards abundance. Well, if we were using technology to strive towards abundance, we could use factories to create cars for everybody. You know what? What would life look like if we weren't giving and allocating a bunch of money to Ukraine and other countries? You see, you can go to Ukraine and find the average person spending crazy amounts of money in a regular restaurant for no reason because they are spending American dollars, and they have so many American dollars over there. They get to run around through society like it's a big fat joke, while people in America are here suffering under the current president that we have, who I supported for super long, which doesn't seem to be working for me because there's been no changes in my real life under this new regime. Unfortunately, what I used to support is not in any way supporting me because, as I said earlier, any president who is telling you that there's any solution to a $34 trillion debt is distracting you with lies. If you see a news article or if you see a news segment on TV talking about a solution towards a $34 trillion debt, it is bullshit to distract you. It is literally a joke, a deception upon a deception, a lie upon a lie. It is there for your stupid ass to believe that what they are saying really matters in any capacity, but they know the system is rigged with debt. There are court cases that prove that. Before I go any further, my boy, what you think about this, man?
Oh yeah, man. Like the system, it's hard to win against the system, but you can win with it. And I believe that when you look at countries that have like their currency, it doesn't have as much value as the US dollar. They're countries that are normally, they haven't progressed as much. They don't have as many resources as much. So I believe without the dollar, like I said before, we'd just be further behind. As far as like from a materialistic place, like people wouldn't have a real motivation because it's harder to hold gold over people because it's so scarce rather than a dollar. So people wouldn't have as much motivation to get up and go create things because they don't have. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go work this McDonald's job to get a Lamborghini. It's like that's not gonna fucking happen. So I'm just not gonna work the job. So I believe that we'd be less. We wouldn't be as far as we were as we are now as a society with if we just use gold instead of money. But it's a double-edged sword, bro. Because if you take all this stuff away from us, people would say we'd be more happy. We don't have to worry about this hierarchy of I have this car, you live in this place, and we'd all be more on the same playing field. But we wouldn't be as progressed as we are now as far as the materialistic stuff goes. So we could possibly be more. If we just valued family more, we valued relationships more. If they didn't create the dollar, but some people, they'd still want a lot of materialistic stuff. But yeah, the whole hierarchy was created so we can be capitalists. So we're put in our classes of people. So it really just comes down to what you want out of this life. But you can come up with all these like ideas or all these things these reasons of why you're a failure, but at the end of the day, you're just playing it's a victim mindset. So you have to understand the world that you're living in, and again, operate a way that you want to win. Because if you're mad, because the way that we talk about on this podcast, this isn't we're not giving you reasons to be a victim about any of this shit. We're giving you the awareness so then you can go out there and create the world that you decide to live in and go win again. So it's because there are people who believe that the government's against them, everyone's against them, and there's no way for them to win. And they use that as an outing to accept why they're a loser. It's especially as a man, no one cares. The worst of the worst can happen to you. You can lose family members. All this stuff could happen. But at the end of the day, if you're a loser, no one's going to care. So it's, yes, the odds are stacked against you. So you cannot win for you to win. But you still have to win because no one cares about your excuse. So we can talk about these problems all day about why it's built against you, why it's so hard for you to win. But at the end of the day, nobody cares unless you win. And just find a way to win. Or you don't find a way to win and complain. Or if your version of winning is by you building a family, taking your family off grid and building a family and just all you guys just value God and not value materialistic things at all. Just live the bare minimum, getting by. That is okay. You can go do that if that's what you want. So just find out what you want and just live the life.
Absolutely, man. In that way, you have to understand that we're giving you this information in order for you to be very wise in how you navigate life. Having this information should let you know that, you know what? Because I understand what money is, I can't hate money for what it's not. because I understand what money is, because I understand it's a debt instrument, it really gives you the wisdom of what you need to do in order to navigate the earth. So let's say that you're in a corporate job or you're in a scenario and you're getting caught up in a certain situation, right? Let's say you're not getting promoted, or you're not getting to go to exactly where you want to go, or you're in a situation where you're not progressing forward, you can assess what to do with your current resources and then move forward. Let me give you like a really good recent experience that I had, right? I used to work at this job, and when I was working there, I noticed that I had it in me to concentrate on praying every day, allocating my resources to the right things every day, investing in the right equipment every day, utilizing my skill sets and my knowledge and investing in myself every day to go from one level into the next level while I was working this job. And I was able to move with a free thinking mind. And when you have a free thinking mind around non-playable characters, aka NPCs, they tend to hate you for it because they can sense that you have a light or some sort of grander vision inside you. And in doing this, praying every day and accumulating your resources every day and focusing every day, I was able to leave that job, meet every influencer I wanted to meet, and start a podcast with my brother Tez, because that was the path that was intended for me. I recently went back to that job and told these guys that story. And the message of my story was that, hey man, I know you're working this, and I know that it might seem, or you may feel fearful to take the risk of putting all the pressure into your own two hands, being a man about it, and balancing the weight of taking your life to the next level on your shoulders. And in me telling them that I'm experiencing this freedom where I can have the luxury of doing a podcast with Brother Tez over here, their response to me was, oh no, man, I can't do that. I can't do that because this job is good and I get great healthcare benefits at this job. And they immediately presented fear towards the idea of ascending. So the reason that they did that is because they're more close to the sheep of the example that I had given you earlier. I literally removed the gate and showed them freedom with good intent. And instead of saying that they would like to walk through that door strategically, which takes strategy because you're born enslaved, they decided to look at the open gate and say, no, 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 I'm good right here. At 5-star, we do not want this for you. I don't want to call you up in, in 1 year, I was working a job I don't want to work. In the next year, I'm living in Miami. I'm networking with the people I want to network with, and I'm moving freely. In the next year, I'm doing a podcast that is getting bigger and better every single day, my brother Tez. Every year, I am ascending because I am planning and I am moving with this knowledge and making my life greater and better, and things are moving forward for me because I'm utilizing God's economy, and I'm openly telling you here that I am nothing but a vessel for Christ, moving my money, time, resources, and wisdom wisely under His law, word, and His way. And if you think that, we have any freedom here in today's modern society, I want you to know that there is nothing new under the sun. There truly isn't. If you think that this phone right here is some advanced technology, you're being tricked. If you think that older societies didn't have automobiles, you're being tricked. If you think that you can look at the creations like the Great Pyramids, or if you can look at Roman art or Roman architecture and Greek architecture, and you don't see with your brain that society was bigger and better than it ever has been today, if you can't see that the architecture that they had shows the remnants of a world that was greater than our world today, if you can't see that electricity today is an inversion of a world that has electricity running through it, that you can just pull, you can go on TikTok right now and look at how to make free electricity and see that there is no need for these institutions to own your life from the switch of a power grid. If you can't see that when gold was running society and that entire kingdoms had risen and fallen off those structures, you are more lost than anybody. You are a true mind wash slave, because this earth was created to do miraculously abundant things. Living in the four walls of a boxed house made of plaster of Paris and some concrete has no comparison to the Pantheon or other great, remarkable achievements that have been created here on this earth. To juxtapose the way in which society was running off a money-based system that was not paper versus the indoctrination that we're experiencing today is a weaponized gutting of resources over the land. So if I were to break that down further in terms of the Zeitgeist Addendum, what I want you to understand is that the implementation of greenback dollars is an invisible war. Money, debt is an invisible war. And he who controls the money is the person that controls the slavery. So instead of being a man born on an earth where you can go and claim a patch of land and enjoy your freedom within the boundaries of a nation that is clearly being defined through some kingdom, I would have you know that there is enough earth for all of you to populate. The earth is filled with abundance. There is no such thing as overpopulation at all. In fact, one of the easiest ways to use your mind logically is that, if you were to drop a bowling ball out of an airplane, the chances of it hitting you are very slim because there's so much earth. And if you think that you need to be indebted to a bank loan and take out a mortgage, which in and of itself is a death instrument, right? You would be the slave of a slave, mind-washed into something that is so, again, paradoxical that you don't see that the freedoms are being stripped from you. So I say all that to say that the implementation of a debt-based monetary system using fractional reserve banking is designed to go on top of the country. Let's say that this piece of paper here was the country. When you put fractional reserve banking monetary notes on top of the country, on top of the earth, on top of the land, the intention of the implementation of the system is to gut the nation of the resources. So why is it that under presidencies like Joe Biden or even presidencies today, the money is being allocated elsewhere? Why is it that you can literally go on TikTok right now or Google or whatever, and you can see that all of our American guns are being given to other countries for no reason? Why is it that our weapons are being given to other countries? Our tanks are being given to other countries. Our gold, nobody can go to the treasury and see that we even have gold reserves to found what a country needs in order to have any sort of rule, any sort of operating whatsoever. Why is it that we are getting less and less and less, and we're never getting more? And why is it that the future generations are guaranteedly to be indebted from the previous generations? Why is it that they're guaranteed to not get a home, not get a house, not be able to procreate, not be able to live with any sovereignty of their own identity whatsoever? Is because this is the natural result of the system. The system of monetary notes is guaranteed to indebt a country to the point of gutting its resources, to the point of being up for sale. So the people, aka the Federal Reserve, that indebted you and depopulated you and took all your resources for themselves to celebrate your death and take everything that you have, want you to know that when they're done gutting the nation of its resources, slowly, death by a trillion paper cuts, they'll come, claim it, buy it, and start over again with their own rules, wiping out all of your existence. You, in their eyes, are a joke. You are less than an animal. You are less than a slave. The implementation of this monetary system is designed to destroy you and destroy nations, and it is used as a tactical weapon because debt is an invisible war. Debt conquers nations. Debt is designed to sell out your resources. Before I go any further into that, my boy, tell me, do we bleed?
Man, it's some crazy ass shit. It's some crazy shit. And another thing that I'm thinking here is that like the hierarchy of just how the life is, like the classes, there's a low class, middle class, upper class. It's like that's what plays a big factor in it too. Even more than money. Because if you talk to a guy, a bum on the street, and he's like, I don't care about any of this stuff. It's just me. I have my Bible, God, and I'm not going to work. It's just me. Like, everyone's going to look at him like, you are a fucking loser. Well, when he talks about God, it's like great. But outside of that, you're a fucking loser. So it's this hierarchy that's been created to where if you can create resources, then you're valuable. And money is a sign that you can create some kind of resources and get things. And then if you're someone who just decides to not do anything in life, then you're not adding any value to anyone's life. That's why a hobo's not respected, is because he's not adding value to anyone's life. So yeah, it's interesting how much the hierarchy and the classes make a huge difference on how you go about living your life. Because if I said I don't give a fuck about any of this shit, and I just decided to live my life the way that I wanted, and just, you know what, I don't care about materialistic, I don't care about creating money, no one would respect me. No one would, like, because at the same time, it's because I'm not helping anyone. Like, if all you do is just, you don't do anything, you don't create any research, you're not helping anyone. So it's interesting how the hierarchy and the classes determine how you go about your life. And this was needed to be created. I believe there needed to be a hierarchy made, and something to where it gave people classes and differentiated people on how they should be viewed and valued in the world. Because without that, I mean, a democracy, nothing gets done. So it's like you need this hierarchy of people. You have people who help the world create resources, and people who don't, by just saying fuck the world and doing what you do. So yeah.
You know what that reminds me of too? When I was younger, growing up in, like, as a Christian in churches, at the time when I was growing up, you later in life, you realize that all the churches are made by Freemasons, and all the Bibles have a lot of information taken out of it. You come to learn that there's a lot of people that are going to church and they're praying and they're throwing everything on God like a crutch, but they don't do anything. They just pray and don't do anything. If you think God wants that from you, you're a fool. You are the worst fucking fool that I could think of. You're a dumbass. You got to work your ass off and pray. Look at your human body. Your human body looks amazing and reaches its peak ability when you pick up heavy things and put them back down. That's called working out, bodybuilding, powerlifting. God didn't make you to be no lazy person. God literally will laugh at you. And there's all kinds of quotes in the Bible about how he detests you and sloth-like behavior. You're meant to work your ass off. Hierarchy is something that's naturally competitive. We are literally designed, by virtue of Tez being a tall man, he is competitively more attractive than other men, meaning that competitively more women would choose him, meaning that the world is always competitive. Women wear makeup to compete with other women. Men, in their physical being, compete with other men. The most violent man is more likely to be the man who's not fucked with, and if he's not fucked with, he's more likely to be able to do whatever he wants. Before united we stand, divided we fall. Before everybody was in their computer bubble, iPad bubble, social media scrolling distracted bubble. Before you walked outside in Fort Lauderdale like this and enjoyed a night of walking down the street where it's completely empty because everyone is inside of their home on Wi-Fi watching television, not being outside and communing with one another. There was a time where when men got together, they formulated gangs, or they formulated brotherhoods, or they formulated groups naturally. And the more that they fortified under their own ideas and ideologies, the more that they were a masculine threat to the government that hates you. And because of this, you had power. But today, today, without us teaching you these things, you don't get to experience your power, because in this context, your power is knowledge and your buying power is money, boy. So you are to take this knowledge, you are to educate yourself, you are to go watch the Zeitgeist addendums, you are to move forward, and you are to use this knowledge to weaponize the fact that you can eradicate yourself from the system and play the game of chess strategically and level up consistently every minute, every hour, every day, every month, every year. And in doing so, you will competitively put yourself in an advantage that is above the rest. Because if you were to make a 10% difference in your life every day, over time plus consistency is always going to equal results. With that mindset, you are going to move forward. I didn't even get to my next points, man. I was just saying all that in response to what you were saying. Give me the vibes, man. What you think about that?
Oh yeah, it's a fact. It's a fact. Like, there needs to be a hierarchy. You need to get better and work on yourself and make it happen. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. Is just making this shit happen, making it work for you, figuring out what you want out of life. Because there's so many distractions out here that are gonna keep you from being your best self. So you just gotta focus, find a way to focus and lock in and reach your goals.
Now, the next point that I have to make for you guys is, how is it that we are able to operate in a nation that promises you your freedoms or have any sovereignty or within your patriotism for we the people? How is it that America could do something like this? I mean, we're literally operating life with monopoly money. There is no difference between a game of Monopoly and the debt instruments that you're playing with. It's paper assigned a false value in a fake system with false debt. The answer is corporatocracy. You see, on a clever play in words, they had done something to America long ago, where, using the Black's Law Dictionary, the United States of America later got to be defined as without. So it is to say that the United States is without America under the way that they define the United States of America in this system, in order to turn America into a corporation. You see, America used to be a free land, but because America is a corporation, they are able to use these debt instruments to abuse free market capitalism and abuse capitalistic ideologies and abuse capitalistic freedoms that you would find into corporations getting all capitalistic leverage over you, creating institutions or companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, and all the companies that buy housing, inflate the value of housing, and cause you to be further in debt. You see, free market capitalism is not about that. Let's talk about free market capitalism for just a moment. Free market capitalism, where you can barter and trade, is a beautiful thing that creates good, beautiful, solid competition for business. Now, let me tell you something. I graduated in business, right? And business is something that you have to have a passion for, because you either have what it takes to be a businessman or you do not. And if you define business as profits, you are a piece of shit, and I hope you burn in hell, personally. You see, business means people in my definition of the word business. Business means the value that you add to people, what you will do to hold client relationships, what you will do to add value to another person's life, what you will introduce to the free market to introduce ideas that will provide value for in return for gold or money or resources or leverage or contacts or power within localized groups that you have to earn your spot into. You see, free market capitalism is the way in which the free market tells you what they want or do not want. For the free market dictates who the millionaires are in the modern day. I'll give you a quick example. When there was a fake pandemic from somebody biting off a bat's head in China and eating a bat, causing you to then believe there was some sort of respiratory allergy, that the whole world was going to experience from this one isolated event. They got you to believe that that was real. But it's not. It's not at all. So in getting you to believe in these bullshits, let me just forward to the point of where I was going with this, right? Corporatocracy. Corporatocracy is the way in which that they get you to give all of your power to corporations. So what will happen is that corporations that rule America have all the autonomy to do what they want, right? So because they changed America into a corporation, and because there's a bunch of corporatocracies, the people who operate in the corporatocracies are the ones who really hold real power and really get to do whatever they really want to do. So when you think of like Elon Musk, that guy is not in the news as some sort of like backyard story. It's not like how they pitch Apple to you, right? They say, you know, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak really are patriots of the American dream because they went and they started Apple in their backyard. They went into their backyard and they went in a shed, and, you know, Steve Wozniak was creating the computer chips, and Steve Jobs was such an extraordinary businessman that he was pitching this device and selling all these people, and there was no help whatsoever. And then all of a sudden, all of the world uses their computers, and there was no innovation from the government whatsoever. There was no buyouts from the CIA. There was no buyouts from the FBI. There was nobody using these devices as data collection agencies to destroy your entire fucking life. No. It was all free market, right? Which is what I was saying earlier, right? When the pandemic was happening, people wanted toilet paper so much that anybody who was producing toilet paper were the millionaires, because everybody was losing their mind in that pandemic, and they would go and they'd buy toilet paper, right? The free market dictates who the millionaires are. But corporatocracies are the people who are above the government. The corporatocracies are the people who get to say, okay, you political puppet, you political figurehead, go do what I need you to do. You, with all of your political power, have the ability to make laws and create like little plans, and you get to institutionalize little things, and you get to pass forward little agendas, and you get to do all this little bullshit. But there is no such thing as a politician that can solve your problems, because politicians are not there to solve your problems. Politicians are there to make laws that benefit the people at the top of the corporatocracies, which is why there are only 4 food companies in America, all owned by corporations. That's why if you go to any store and you start researching the products that are sold in the stores, the products that are sold in the stores make you believe that there's all these different brands when they're all owned by the same companies that are corporatocracies. And the people that are in the corporatocracies are the actual rulers of the free world. They're the people that run the media, people that run the governments, people that run the public institutions of education. They are the people by which all commerce is conducted through. And they don't have laws that apply to them. They're so rich, they get to determine what the laws are and how the resources are allocated and how the world at large is going to operate. And if they say, you know what, we want to enforce agendas that are going to destroy the population. We want men to be women and women to be men, and we want education to be worse and worse, and we want people to have less words, and we want entertainment to be more propagandized, and we want men to be more weak, and we want women to be more strong, and we want to do everything that we can do to pervert society, and we want to take away all the money, and we want to starve these people to death, and we want to crash the cryptocurrency system, and we want everybody to put their money in computers. They have the ability to do that because their goal is to destroy you. There is no depopulation by nature. There is only a strategic regimen of people that want to kill you and take the resources and make you believe that there is no way for you to prosper on this great land. And ironically enough, they get people so politically indoctrinized into these things that you need to understand that if you are subscribing your life to any political agenda that is publicly on the news, you are in indentured servitude. You are politically interlocking yourself with something that has no purpose for you. The main takeaway is something that Tez has been saying over and over. With all of this knowledge on corporatocracies and fractionalized reserve banking and what money is and what money is not and what debt is and what debt is not and what gold is and what gold is not, you would have to understand that the only power that you truly have in your life is a life in which you build that life for you. You need to make yourself a better and stronger man. You need to make yourself a better friend. If you're a father, you need to be a better father. If you're a worker, you need to be a better worker at providing value to your colleagues. You need to build a life in which you are fortified, and in building yourself to have more buying power, that needs to be a part of your strategy, and having more fortitude and having more resources and having more assets. This is the only way by which you can build a life that is worth living and worth passing on to the future generations. Without these core fundamentals, without you understanding the basics and the foundation of the current economy that you're living in, or how to operate with the solution of God's economy, you wouldn't really be able to navigate anywhere in the world of dating, let alone your own life, which is why we had to give you this podcast on introducing the beginnings of where fiat currency comes from, with the intention of destroying you, which is the intention of what it comes from, for us to then talk to you about why cryptocurrency might be an important asset for you to have in order for you to grow your own personal wealth, in order to raise your buying power. But you would be a fool to do something like that without an exit strategy, and you'd be an even bigger fool to not use that exit strategy to take these dollars that are plummeting in value and putting it into hard assets like guns and bullets and gold and silver, and finding ways to make sure that you are always fortified in your wealth, that you are multiplying with women, that you are making sure that you have a family, that you are doing everything you can to solidify your power under God. For remember, he introduced Abraham as not a rich man, but a very, very rich man, because all of that abundance is the birthright to you if you earn it and you work for it and you do it right.
Oh yeah, let's fucking get it. That's no cap. Yes, sir. And that's really what it comes down to. That's it. Yeah, we gave him some fucking heat today.
Any closing thoughts, my boy?
Some fucking fire. That's you got to find a way to win. There's so many distractions out there. There's so many things that are going to try to get you off your path and get you focused on something else that's not important. So you have to have some guidance inside, have some goals, have some structure, and you have to know what you want out of life. If you don't know what you want, then the government's going to pick what you want, and it's going to be in the benefit of them, not you. And that's just human nature. Everyone's looking to have some kind of power over someone. They're trying to control someone. So first you have to know what you want. Find out where you're headed. Know where you're headed. That way you can take control of your life. Because if you look in the mirror and you ask yourself, if you're not controlling your life right now, somebody else is. And you know the answer to that. So look deep within, find out what you want, and live your life that way. And so you can have control of your life.
Yeah, man. Lock yourself in that room until you figure out why you're making the money. Literally come up with a plan. Run your plan by me and Tez. Get in our memberships. Get in our live chats. Get in our group chats. Get interactive with it. We have a literal community of brothers that want to network with you and level you up. We have men in this community always raising their status. We work with people who constantly want to be of work. We are a group of men who understand these principles. We are sharing these principles with you that you can take this knowledge and be within great power and use that great power to do great things. Freedom is a choice. The system is rigged. We just exposed the system. You now know it's rigged. If you didn't already figure out it was rigged, or if you had a feeling it's rigged, we're telling you that the majority of us that are winning in any way have already figured out by using a little bit of research that it is rigged. And you need to take this knowledge and turn this knowledge into an asset that is always perpetuating you forward into living the life that you want, so you could be a 5-star gentleman or queen. Let's go, my boy.
Let's get it. We fucking out here. Let's get it. Follow us on all platforms. Stay tuned for the next show. We're going to bring it to you live. We brought some heat today. We out. Let's get it.
Let's get it, man. Let's go.